So welcome to the podcast, Sam. I'm so excited to have you here. I feel like we've known each other for so long. We met online and it's just been so much fun watching your journey and watch you working in the health space and just sharing your passion with everyone. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, I wanted to get straight into it because today we are talking about pre and postnatal health. And I remember when I fell pregnant with my first son, even though I was passionate about fitness and health and all that stuff, I was like, okay, should I be working out pre and postnatal? Like, is it safe and all of that stuff? So I'd love to talk about what the benefits are of working out pre and postnatal.
Yeah, and I think that's a really common thought to have when we first fall pregnant as well, especially if it's been a long time since we've been able to fall pregnant. So it is important to keep the body moving, because it's not just for the health of your baby and the health of you, but it's your mental health as well. So there's so many benefits, and even if it's just being able to walk and doing a little bit of strength training as well, what we need to remember is functional movement and the practicalities that it comes to in our day-to-day life will benefit us doing our daily activities, like doing all those loads of washing we're about to do when the baby comes along, and putting those clothes on the line. And it's just all those daily activities that we do that we don't realize exercise really helps and benefits us. And we see that in the long run, when people don't do exercise, and then years later when they've got these when they've got toddlers or teenagers, and they want to keep up with their kids, and they say, I need to start exercising because I want to keep up with my kids. It's a good way to make sure you start here and then you just progress, so that you don't have that goal. You've got other amazing goals to achieve. So it's really important, because, lifting up your baby all the time, you're going to be holding your newborn. You're going to feel like it's 24/7, obviously. So we want to try and incorporate a little bit of strength training in there as well, because, like I said, it doesn't always necessarily require you to pick up a weight. Our body weight can be used to our advantage in so many ways and build strength that way. And I think that's lost on people as well. And I think it's really important to remind ourselves of that, using our body weight to our advantage and using that as strength to help us when we do lift up the baby. And let's be honest, like piles of clothes, and as they get older, and still lifting them, because then they're still going to want to be picked up. Even my eldest is 6 and he still wants to be picked up. So or they just come charging at you and they come running at you. So you just never know when you're going to need. So it's just really important, and obviously recovery postnatal as well. So going through your journey during pregnancy and keeping active will help you postnatal as well, will aid in recovery. And you know what? It makes you feel 10 times better as well in recovery as well. So I think when we think about being pregnant, and everyone tells you of their delivery stories, and I don't think there's enough conversation about recovery. And I felt like after I had my first, no one told me how hard it was going to be. I could barely walk down the hallway of the hospital, and let alone, and I was active during my pregnancy, but no one told me how hard it was going to be. So had I known then, and had I done, our pelvic floor exercises and things like that, just a little bit more, I feel like that would have helped me not feel like I was falling out every step that I took postnatal. No one told me about that. If they told me, I would have, tried a little bit different, done things a little bit differently. But it's just really important that, trying to be as active as possible. Everyone's pregnancy journey is different. We know that you're going to be tired. We know there's days of nausea. So it's important to listen to our bodies through that. And if you feel like you need to rest and sleep, then do that. But it's also knowing the limitations of, am I mentally saying that I'm tired, or am I physically just needing to rest? So I think there's those barriers that we have when we're pregnant as well. So just keeping active, walking, and doing your basic functional movements, squats, push-ups, against walls, obviously, as we gradually go through that. But, all those basic movements that can help us functionally and with our strength will all be beneficial, pre and postnatal. So, yeah.
I'm so glad that, like, I did stay active with both of the kids, but like you said, the whole recovery thing, even though, like, I had 2 cesareans. First one was the emergency, the other one was a planned one. And I feel like I recovered so well because I was active. Like it was like I literally had Leo, I think it was a Monday, and on the Tuesday I was already up out of bed. And the nurses were like, "Oh no, you stay in bed." And I'm like, "Well, no, I need to get moving. Like I need to move my body and you know what I mean? Like get back into
You
that."
want to feel normal.
Yeah, you want to feel normal.
Like
No one tells you
normal.
how.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like such an alien, like after you've had a kid.
Yeah,
It's just
100%. Yeah.
yeah. So,
And I think the other thing is we need to make sure that we give ourselves, like it's taken us 10 months to grow a child. We need to give ourselves 10 months to start feeling that sense of normality again for our bodies to recover. So and I think there's that other important thing. Once you have a baby, your body is changed. Like your body has changed. You will always be postnatal because your body has gone through a physiological change. So I think that's really, really important as well.
yeah. And I think too, like even though
And not to be hard on ourselves.
that too. And even though like we do encourage movement, I think it's also like it's so important to rest too. I found rest was just so important, especially after a cesarean. But like just doing
Absolutely.
little things like walking up and down the hall, like just getting your body moving again. So important.
And I think we forget that you know cleaning our floors and going up and down and doing the washing, that's all part of it as well, because once you're postnatal, like even those first few weeks, you're like, wow, that took a lot out of me. Now I'm going to go sit down on the couch.
Yeah. That was a workout in itself. Just doing the floors. So something that I hear a lot of women say is that they don't have time to work out. So I'd love to know, like as a PT and a group fitness instructor, what are some of the tips that you suggest for finding time to actually work out?
I think those times I would recommend or suggest basically is when I know you feel inclined to sleep when they sleep, nap when they nap, but your body needs to be on a path to you need your schedule to still be your schedule and like your day-to-day activity, so you're awake for those X amount of hours and then you go to sleep at that time and then you obviously wake up for your feeds. Obviously this is in the first stages of postnatal, but I find that when they nap, that's the best time to try and get your 20 minutes in. We're not asking you to work out for 45 to 60, or not asking, but it doesn't have to be, I should say, 45 to 60 minutes, as long as you're getting 20 minutes to yourself just to get something done. Like I said, those basic exercises, or even just a quick walk around the house, or even, popping the baby on if you've got a pram or the ergos, the carriers, going for a walk, as long as you've got 20 minutes to do something, I find that's the best time. So whether you're walking with the baby, whether they're napping, whether they can be, I don't know how it works for everyone's babies, putting them in the bouncer and having them in there for 15 to 20 minutes and using that time, and they see you're facing them, you're still working out, and they're happy because they can still see you. So it's just finding those little times. And obviously everyone's different and it's always going to work with you, and eventually you'll find that suitable time, because you'll eventually hopefully everyone's hopeful when they have a baby that there's going to be some time that you get to put the baby down. But if you can't, try and work it to your advantage and just pop them in the carrier, and obviously safely doing exercise to the best of your abilities. We obviously don't want you to pick up some weights while you've got a baby, while you've got, extra weight on at the front and then start throwing weights around.
Yeah,
but,
no.
Just movement. It's just movement and being able to find that time, whether it's when they're in that, having a nap, even tummy time, you can still see them and you can still play with them. So it's all those sorts of trick areas, I guess, where we think, oh, I could be doing a lot of washing. Don't worry, it's not going anywhere. It's going to be there.
I know. And it's only going to build up anyway again.
Yeah, exactly. Let's be honest. Yeah, don't worry about it, the washing. Let it go. Find some time for yourself.
Yeah, and that's what it is, like finding time for yourself. I remember when the boys were really young and they'd wake up like I don't know about you, but like my boys would get into a routine and be like, okay, every morning I can work out now because they're sleeping until 8, right? So I'd get up an hour early and whatever. But then when they changed their routine, all of a sudden you're like, damn it, why did you change? Because now you've ruined me. So you know what I started doing? I actually started bringing the boys with me. So I'd have a treadmill at home and I'd have them in the little bouncer and I'd be on the treadmill.
Yep.
And they can see me. I
Yep.
just think, and that just gave me that time that I needed to give back to myself because I don't know about you, but I feel like as a mum, it's just so important just to find that time to yourself and to move your body and to exercise.
Absolutely. And I think we feel like we need to like just give ourselves 24/7 to our baby, but we need to remember that yes, sure, we are going to be there for our baby, but we still need to be our own selves as well. So we need to remove any sort of guilt that you might find in giving yourself 20 minutes to give yourself 20 minutes and not worry that don't feel the guilt for doing something actively with your child for 20 minutes is what I'm trying to say. So I think there's that as well. And you just need to find ways that work for you, and eventually you will. And they might change, like you said, they had that routine. All of a sudden they're like, no, mum, not happening anymore. Find a different routine, and then you work around it. And I think it's important, as long as you're wanting to keep working around it, I think that'll help, because again, it all comes down to mental health as well. We don't want to see any postnatal depression, because we deserve to be happy as well. And where we're happy, our kids 100%. Are happy, and I think that's really important.
Oh, 100%. I think too, what also came of that is like the boys watching me work out at a very young age. So now they're like, okay, mummy's doing her workout, let's leave her alone. Or mummy, I want to do it too. Like, I think that's so cute, and they know the equipment.
That's the best.
They know everything. Yeah, I think just introducing it to them at a young age is another way. Like, this is another topic anyway, but another way to teach kids, like, it's so important to move your body. For even their mental health too, growing up.
Absolutely. Yeah. My the online classes that I teach that I coach at 5:45 in the evening, it's just when they start having dinner. So about halfway through, my youngest, who's 2.5, will come in the room and he'll pop his head in first and have a look at the girls on the screen, but then he'll come back and then he'll see a little lightweight on the floor. It might be like a 1 kilo that we use for boxing or something, and he'll pick that up. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want them to be afraid of that. I want them to see, what's mummy doing? Because then my 6-year-old will come in and he'll be like, Mum, can I do burpees with you? And I know, like, burpees is one of my favorites. It's like people hate burpees, and they think, and there's lots of opinions out there that say burpees, they're just like obsolete now. You shouldn't be doing them. I can't get enough of them, different variations. So he comes in and says to me, I want to do burpees and stuff. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Let's do it.
I love it.
And then my 4-year-old, he's kind of like, let's do some star jumps. I'm good for star jumps. I'm keen. Whatever you're keen for, I'm keen for. So it is that setting that example as well. And then they're like, cool, I should do it too.
Yeah, and it keeps you active too. Like, I know being a boy
Mhm.
mum, like, either way, they're gonna keep you
Mm.
active, but, like, it
Yeah.
just encourages you to do more. Like, even
Yeah.
though, like, some days I'm just like, "Oh, I'm having a bad day," or I feel a bit shitty, they're moving, I'm like, "Alright, let's move," and then we're all happy, So,
Mm.
yeah, I
Even
love that.
vitamin D, just getting outside in the
Yes,
sun and walking, that's any form of movement can make that switch.
100%. Well,
Mm.
I wanted to touch on something,
Mm.
That that not well, I think most women know about now. I think when I first had like when I had Leo, oh, a few years ago, it wasn't really spoken about, or maybe I wasn't so much aware of it. But I wanted to talk about
Mm.
diastasis. How do you say it?
Mm.
How do you say it?
Diastasis.
Oh, diastasis. Okay.
Yeah.
Ab separation. So,
Yeah.
those that don't know what diastasis is, that's an ab separation that occurs during pregnancy. Obviously, when your belly
Mhm.
is growing big, your abs, they need to go somewhere. So your abs, they actually
Yeah.
separate. So do you
Mhm.
mind explaining a little bit about like what it is and what we should look out for when exercising and getting back
Yeah.
into fitness?
Yeah, well, the first most important part of it is getting that check from your physio, the women's health physio. So that's really important. So they can do a quick test to see what your ab separation is like post birth, because obviously it's actually the linea alba, so it's a muscle in between our abs which actually stretches, which then the abs come up separate. It's the linea alba that does that. So when you are following childbirth, you should get your initial check done, and that's generally done at the hospital, and they'll feel for your ab separation. And if it's more than 2 centimeters, you will need to keep going to your women's health physio, who will be able to prescribe all the correct exercises you should be doing. The real important thing to be looking out for during pregnancy and post pregnancy is that doming, is that coning effect that we
Mm,
have. So if you were to lay on your back, and this is post birth, during birth, and if you were to lift your shoulders, if you were laying straight down on your back, legs straight stretched out, and then if you lift your shoulders up, you would see that doming effect, and that's when we know we're overexerting and we need to stop. We can't have that happening. We don't want to put pressure on there. It can cause all sorts of havoc, so we don't want to do that. So that can follow post birth as well. So that's definitely one thing we want to look out for. And the way that we can kind of assist in recovery is doing some strength training and doing some pelvic floor movement. And now that pelvic floor, I'm a big pelvic floor kind of gal, so it's really getting through that breath work, diaphragmatic breathing, and it's really important to do the pelvic floor exercises during your pregnancy and following pregnancy as well. So, and to make sure obviously that we're doing them correctly as well. So again, these are all things that a women's health physio is really good for, and make sure that you're doing it correctly. And with the combination of doing yoga really helps with your breath work, really controls your breath work, so that exhale on exertion, big inhales
yes.
through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and holding that pelvic floor in exertion. So all that intertwines with your ab separation as well, and really controlling that and bringing it back to, well, recovering, because it may never go back to
Mm,
normal, but it may never come completely back together, but that's okay. That doesn't mean we have a weak
mhm.
abs. It just means we can strengthen in other ways.
Yep, 100%. So after I had
Mm.
I don't remember if I told you, but after I did have Oliver, my second, I healed my ab separation, and then a year later it opened back up because I just
Mm.
wasn't like, I was lifting him, I just wasn't being mindful, I wasn't using my breath, I wasn't engaging my core muscles, the transverse, like I wasn't doing anything mindfully, and it literally just opened back up to 4 centimeters. Like I'd just given
Wow.
birth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
I've closed it now, but I'll always have that 1
Mm.
centimeter gap, like you said.
Mm.
We're just
Yep.
closing it or making it normal the way it is for now.
Mm. Yeah.
Never be the
We
same.
should really throw that word away, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
it's not the normal, is it? It's just how your body recovers. And like I said, it doesn't mean that we have a weak core. It just means we've just got a little bit of separation now, and we're working with it. And it's really important with that, with breath work, to get that back to normal. And I think the point is that we need to remember is, and I do this even with the girls that I coach that haven't had kids. They will always hear me say, exhale on exertion and hold your pelvic floor. Like, it's always there. So they're always like, ha, ha, ha. But at the same time, it's like, no, you're going to thank me for this later.
Yeah.
And not just, and if you decide you don't want to have kids, that's fine. You're going to thank me for it when you're old, okay, when you get older, because it's not just for women that have had kids. Our pelvic floor health, it's in all ages. It's throughout all ages, and I think that's important too. So if we can put that all together, combined with strength training, we will be strong, throughout postnatal,
100%.
when we're older, everything.
Yep. When we're 80, we'll still be jogging around the block and hopefully.
I tend to say to them, those people in the nursing homes who require diapers, you won't be that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you will have
100%.
And that's, yeah.
100%.
I'm like,
Yeah.
thank me for it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah,
So
all that
important.
lifting. So, and that's where the functional movement comes in when we do our squats and when we pick up our babies, remembering to pick our babies up with correct form, and then squeezing that pelvic floor as we lift up, flat back. You know what I mean? So it's all those doing pelvic floor movements through our day-to-day activities will really benefit us during pregnancy, all right, and then postnatally as well, and then throughout all stages of life.
Yeah,
all stages of life.
100%. And that's how mine opened back up, because I wasn't being mindful when I was doing that functional movement throughout the day. Like, I was exhausted. All that pressure. So that's why I'm just so passionate about just even bringing it to mind for women. Just like, hey, look out for this. Like, every time one of my friends has a baby or family member, I'm like, so how did your recovery go? Did you go see a women's physio?
Yeah.
Because, and then I tell them my story, because I just think it's so important. Like, sure, they might not have as big a separation as I did, but it's just getting moving functionally again, I just think is so important.
Yeah. And the breath work is really important, because, when we inhale, we tend to hold our breath, or we think inhaling means drawing it in so much that, the skin comes in underneath the rib cage, where we're diaphragmatic breather. Inhale, air comes in as we exhale, and then we brace our core. And another way that I explain it to my girls is that, just imagine that a kid's about to round a corner and they're about to crash into you, and they're about to win. You brace your core as if they're about to headbutt you in the gut, and then hold that.
Yeah, love it.
Hold that there.
Because it does happen.
So
it does happen.
Oh, absolutely it does. Even if they charge you with no notice whatsoever, you're just going to brace. It's all that engagement, and because everything braces, then pelvic floor turns on, your core turns on, and then you're like, oh, all right, this is what I should be doing.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, I love it. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to add or share that we may have missed out on with this topic?
I think don't be scared to explore what movement works for you, especially if you haven't done exercise before and you want to start exercising now. Don't be afraid that, maybe I shouldn't be doing any exercise because I wasn't doing it before. Find something that makes you happy and find something that works for you, because if there's no point doing it in an exercise or like a class or anything like that when you don't enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy doing it, you're not going to want to do it again. So find something that works for you, and then try and make a routine. 2 to 3 times a week is all you need. Don't aim for 7, because there's just no point. So that's during pregnancy and post pregnancy as well. So there's just try and move your body, and don't forget about the mental benefits that it has as well. I think that it's not just about physically, it's mentally, because you are going to need time for yourself after the pregnancy, just to give yourself something for you, to make you feel you again.
Mhm.
So I think that's
Yeah.
really important to remember as well.
Oh, I love that. Well, I love ending the show with a question, and that was gonna be my question. What is something that you would recommend if a mum wanted to incorporate more movement into their day? Um, I think that that's a
Yeah,
great way to start
finding
is just
yeah,
yeah.
finding something that works for you. Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a class. If you find that walking 30 minutes for 3 days a week works for you, do it. That's,
Yeah.
and you're using your functional movement to be your, as long as you're aware that you still need to remember your breath work, and holding your pelvic floor on exertion. So when I say exertion, let's talk layman's terms. Every time something feels the hardest part of your movement, that's when you exhale. That's
Yep.
probably the easiest way to think of that.
Yeah.
So it's just remembering that, I think, is really important as well. And there's so many things you can do online these days,
Mhm.
where if you just want to roll out of bed, or if it's just during the day, there's so many options out there. Find what works for you to keep you moving and you happy, and exercise at your fitness level, and never, ever, ever compare yourself to someone else or someone else's pregnancy or recovery.
100%. Oh, I love
Mm.
it. Love it. This has been such a great chat. I love talking about anything fitness and health and all of that stuff. So, thank you so much for
We just
coming
don't
on and
have enough time, do we?
no, we don't, because now, like, it's lunchtime and now the kids are gonna come in here and
Yeah.
say, "Mum, I'm hungry."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
us mums multitasking, but I wanted to
Mhm.
thank you for coming on the show. I know you're very busy
Oh, thank
yourself
you.
and, just finding the time to look after you and doing the work that you do while running your business, being a mom and working full time. Like, it's not easy, but you managed to get it done. So, thank you for finding the time to come on and share your
Oh,
wisdom with
my
everyone.
pleasure. I love to help.
Love it. So, please share with everyone where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram as Bump Baby Me Fitness. I am currently going through a new rebrand, which will be
Ooh.
released soon, but it's just women's fitness still. So I'm always wanting to help women. So no offense to the men out there, but my specialty is women's health and fitness. So
Yeah.
so stay tuned, that'll be released. But if you follow that page and want to do any online workouts, that's where you can find me.
Yes. So make sure you follow Sam. Everything's going to be in the show notes, and in the cheat sheet as well, because she posts exercises as well that you can do at home,
Mm,
which is
mm.
awesome. And you also do classes via Zoom as well, don't you?
Yes, yes, I do. So mornings and evenings at the moment, and one class a week on Sunday mornings, and I do on site on weekends for the ladies that live in Adelaide as well. So I'm just going to throw all my juggling balls in the air. Just do that all the.
Awesome. Well, everything will be in the show
No, I
notes.
love to help, so I try and make myself available.
Yeah, love it. So, well, yeah, everything will be in the show notes for those that want to take part and join you. So thank you so much again for coming on. It's just been such a wonderful
My
chat.
pleasure.